Hey there, this is Kevin from MaximizingEcommerce.com. I help people build e-commerce businesses they can be proud of. And in this video, I'm going to talk about my thoughts on, recently I went to the Funnel Hacking Live conference, sponsored by Russell Brunson of ClickFunnels. And I just want to talk through some things I learned, just some general things about going to live events and I think the power of them. And I'm doing this in my car because, Russell Brunson does marketing in your car podcast, or at least he used to call it that. Now I think he calls it marketing secrets. But I'm also looking to maximize my time more, and I was just running an errand, so I figured I literally have my phone attached to the, sorry, I didn't mean to bounce it that much. The sunshade with rubber bands. So just bear with me. I'm gonna maybe do this a little bit more often, just so I can have more videos, share more of what I've learned along the way, doing these types of videos in the car. So I'm gonna go ahead and start moving because I'm maximizing my time here. So anyway, Funnel Hacker Live, it was at Disney's Coronado Springs Resort in Orlando. And what's interesting is I actually used to work for Disney earlier on in my career. I left there about 11 years ago. And so it was interesting kind of running into some old friends that I met from when I was in the more corporate world, so to speak. And it was also, good meeting new friends that are more entrepreneurial world. And, it's interesting, for me, just having what's the word I'm looking for? The contrast of the different mindsets that people have. People in the entrepreneurial space versus people in the Fortune 500 space. And I'm kind of in the middle spot of, I believe in having a side business, a side hustle, but, I have a full-time job that pays most of my bills, and I'm just reinvesting everything into my business. So I know this isn't much about the actual conference itself, but it just goes to show, people have different mindsets. And if you're surrounded by people all day long, in your job who think a certain way, and I can tell you, working in health insurance, the mindset of people working at a health insurance agency, and so other types of insurance, it's more results driven than, say, a Fortune 500 company, where it's it's still results based, but it's a very different mentality. But your mindset is shaped a lot by the people you spend a lot of time with. So when you're in a job, you're surrounded by those people. So if you're a solopreneur working at home, I'm going over a bridge here, so I'm gonna try to keep this as stable as possible. But if you're a solopreneur, working from home, and I met quite a few that way, you don't get the benefit of being around people. And there is a certain energy for being around people. So the nice thing about going to live events is that you can feed off other people's energy, and you can learn things off of people, and everyone's sharing kind of what works, what doesn't. There's a lot of great speakers that Russell Brunson had put together in the lineup. One of which, of course, people have heard of is Tony Robbins. So that was a selling point for me to go. And I ended up actually going to the conference because, working in insurance, we're looking at ways of, developing more sales funnels and things of that nature. But I also know, for my e-commerce business, I want to start doing more off Amazon, because right now most of my sales are on Amazon. So it was a good chance for me to learn that too. So I was killing a couple birds with one stone, so to speak, by going to this conference. And the interesting thing is, and this is going to sound so weird to say, because I feel like this is maybe somewhat spiritual, whatever the case is, God, the universe, whatever you believe in, rewards you for putting yourself out there. And this may not make sense until you've actually lived it. And I've been around conferences. Like, I worked for 6 years in a convention center. After I left Disney, at a hotel with a really big convention center, and worked a lot of different conferences. So I was kind of always in tune with the mechanical side of conferences, but not so much on the actual what it's like to be an attendee, what it's like to attend a conference. Attendee is a word we used to use in the conference business, but no one says, "Oh, I'm an attendee." But it's really interesting when you're around people. So the first session, the first day, I sat down next to two guys and I looked over at them, after about an hour, and we, made small talk. And all of a sudden I looked at them and I said, "Hey, were you guys at Seller Summit last May?" And they said, "Yes." Now Seller Summit has like 200 people. And it's crazy to think that out of the 200 people, I would be sitting next to, at a conference of 3,000 people, two people that were there. So it just kind of blew my mind that, this kind of, these people were put in my path almost, so to speak, like divinely. And I remember thinking later on down the road, I really need to talk to somebody about insurance, because there was a lot of physical product and digital product related things. Some applied to insurance, but I was like, I kind of want to talk to somebody that has experience using ClickFunnels, or just doing sales funnels in general, insurance, just to kind of compare notes and see what someone else is doing, and kind of learn from them. And there was one day after, I think it was the Friday, because this went from like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday was the conference, and this is about 2 weeks ago as I record this, and I ended up sitting in a different part of the ballroom than I was the rest of the time, because for whatever reason, we're all creatures of habits, and we seem to keep going to the same general area we sat the first day. And at least a lot of people do it that way. And I sat next to this guy, or small talk, and he works in insurance. Like he is in digital marketing, helping insurance companies and insurance agencies get leads. Like, this is someone I needed to talk to. And he was like basically put in my path, like almost, for lack of a better word, serendipitously. And it was crazy that, here I am at a conference of 3,000. This is not an insurance-based conference, but I knew there would be good learnings that I could take to my full-time job. And here, when I'm thinking I really need to meet somebody about insurance, and I just sit in a different area, I end up sitting next to someone about insurance. And there weren't a lot of insurance people at the conference. I talked to a lot of people there, and it was more like, e-commerce sellers, authors, people with digital products, things of that nature. There were, and coaches and things like that. There weren't people who were focusing on insurance. So that was really interesting for me, that who is basically in my path. So that was pretty cool. So it just goes back to the power of, being around people, and it's amazing who you run into at conferences, that, especially if you put your intentions out there, this is who I need to run into. Somehow they magically end up coming to you. And I would have thought this was, it's more coincidental, but as I've gotten into this entrepreneurial space, and especially start connecting with people, it almost seems like if you believe in the process, the right people start coming to you. And it just, I would have thought that was more metaphorical, or just good coincidences, because you're putting yourself in the right positions and things like that. But I'm starting to find it to be a little bit more than that, which if you've had any experiences like that, I'd love to hear about it in the comments down below. Just the general conference, it was really good. I learned a lot about sales funnels. I didn't actually have a ClickFunnels account before going to that. I mean, this is basically like a users conference for ClickFunnels. But I was amazed. Not most people, but there was a handful of people like me who didn't have a ClickFunnels account. So now I've gotten one. But met a lot of cool people there. What was interesting is coming out of the bathroom, I was talking to this guy, and I looked at his name tag. His name is Chris Guthrie. He's the founder of SalesBacker. And I remember before he was ever in SalesBacker, he talked about this story. And this was like when I first started looking into like internet marketing related things, or selling online, back in like, let's say 2012. And I remember him talking about the story of, being let go from a job. And I actually, when I was laid off in 2013, that's one of those stories that kind of clicked in my mind of like, I can get through this, was, hearing someone else's story, their testimonial, so to speak, of getting through something. And I actually got a chance to thank him for that. So that was kind of cool. And again, just happened to be talking to someone, looked at the name tag, it's like, oh wow, yeah, you're someone I've heard of before. And it was kind of crazy. So I learned a lot at the conference. It was a really good conference. Russell Brunson really knows his stuff, and he puts it out in a very good, easy to follow format. The kind of the joke in the conference by the speakers, although I don't think they were really kidding, was hashtag do what Russell says. The guy knows his stuff. So I'm really starting to look into more stuff. I need to have probably a different product line to do products on ClickFunnels than I have now. So it's something I'm looking into, like, because you don't have to just keep doing what you're doing. You can do what you're doing, but you can create multiple sources of income. So that's what I'm really looking at now. Is, you know, as time goes on, how do I do more of, you know, other sales channels, and ClickFunnels I definitely see as an option for selling physical products, you know, in addition to my own website and things like that. I just need to have products with the margin percentages don't have to be more, but I have to probably find products that have larger selling prices, so I have more, even if the percentage is the same. I can make it up because I have more margin to play with per unit, if that makes sense. And it was a great conference. Scott Volker from The Amazing Seller had a meetup. He and I spoke. Since then, he interviewed me for his podcast that should be coming out a week from this coming Monday as I record this. So depending on when you're watching it, probably, I think it's gonna be episode 503 will air. At the meetup, he kept joking about how I am a ref and I blew the whistle. Or he's like, it got call timeout. Kevin, can you blow me a whistle? So I actually wish I had the whistle with me. And actually on episode 499, he made a reference to, he was close to 500 episodes, and he's like, I gotta call a timeout here. Kevin, can you blow a whistle? He actually called me out, which is kind of fun. Because, you know, Scott's someone that I've been listening to and following along the way, that, you know, I would call him a mentor, even though, you know, early on, he and I had never actually physically met, and we have now. But at the time, I didn't know him, he didn't know me, and I've gotten to know him pretty decently, and, you know, he's a really good guy. So, you know, here's another chance to meet him. I met him at Seller Summit last year. And, you know, it's nice getting to meet people when you go to these conferences that, you know, sometimes they're people you've heard of, like Chris Guthrie and Scott Volker, you know, say thank you for the work they've done. So it's, you know, impactful for me. So if, you know, you're watching this, and hopefully this channel has had an impact somewhat on you, that, you know, I'd love it one day if we got a chance to connect. So if you're watching this and, you know, you've gotten a golden nugget or two, you know, off of this channel, and, you know, we ever meet one day, please come up and introduce yourself to me. You know, I've done the same with others that have helped me, and I would love to meet you if even just an inkling of impact in, you know, your business or mindset or something that you're working on. Please come up and say hi. But all in all, I think, going back to the general ClickFunnels review, I would say, if you're thinking about doing in the future, do it. If there's another live event you're thinking about doing, do it. You know, if it's going to be a little bit of a stretch financially, don't spend money that you don't have. You know, don't put yourself into bankruptcy to go to, you know, a live event. But, you know, you could start with meetups in your area. You know, if somebody like Scott Volker or, you know, whoever has a, you know, meetup, and it's, you know, maybe a drive. There were people that came to Scott's meetup that weren't at Funnel Hacking Live, that they were. You know, some people drove from, like, Tampa to Orlando. Some people drove, I think, like a couple hours. You know, so try to find other people and connect to them face to face, and you'll be glad you did. And if you can spend the money, the investment, it really truly is an investment to go to live events. I'm excited, in about a month from now, going to Seller Summit again this year. So go to live events. You're going to be glad you did. If if it's going to cost you time off from work, you know, just do whatever you can do to make it to live events. If it has any inkling into connection to what it is you're doing, you know, do your best to go. Do your best to go, make the investment. It's an investment in yourself. It's an investment in your future. It's an investment in your business. And you'll be glad you did. So hopefully you found this video to be helpful. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you could leave the thumbs up. And then if you're not subscribed to this channel, you can subscribe to this channel and click the little notification bell, so that way I can make sure to, or YouTube will let you know when more videos like this come up. So thank you for making it through this, and have yourself a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.